Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Screen Scene Guru, and today I'll be discussing Stranger Things, Season 5, the last 4 episodes. I'll be doing some spoiler discussions in the video. I'll also be talking about the play the Duffer Brothers were in charge of before the Season 5 premiere. Has some interesting notes to go over. But starting off, let's go into Episode 5, which was titled Shock Jock. Really interesting episode. The gang hatches an electrifying plan to reconnect Will with the hive mind. Tensions flare during a search in the Upside Down for Hawkins' lab. So this is a really cool episode. We got to see some emotional flare up from Nancy and Jonathan, them basically confirming that they're not the right people for each other. Very interesting stuff with the white goo that they showed off in the Upside Down in Hawkins' lab. You did actually get to see military soldiers in the goo. I know there's a lab, or there's a military base in the Upside Down now, which didn't make a lot of sense. And the fact that they talk about in this play that recently was out, the Stranger Things play, it was about Henry Creel and his experiences in school with the other parents of Hawkins. We had to see, Joyce in high school with Hopper. So they all knew Henry Creel. But unfortunately that part wasn't really transferred over in the series. They didn't really make a big connection there, which I felt like was a lost opportunity. But it was pretty cool that we got to see, the gang make their way to the Upside Down. They actually confirmed that there is a Dimension X that Vecna exists in beyond the Upside Down, which is like a wormhole, black hole, basically. But we got to go to Chapter 6, Escape from Kaminots. As Holly and Max fight to escape Vecna's mind, Elle must find a way into Will's. Joyce wrestles with guilt. Jonathan and Nancy face a turning point. So yeah, Escape from the Kaminots. Pretty good episode. We got to see Max return. Max woke up in this episode, which was really awesome. They saved her for the last 3 episodes, I believe. She did have to be in a wheelchair due to her being in a coma for over a year. Very interesting side note is that the actress that played Max's mother said that she's been battling cancer and that she could have had her health insurance covered if Netflix had brought her back for season 5, but unfortunately she was not a recurring character. So very interesting that they didn't bring back Max's mother. Anyone from her family really, besides who was it? Mike was by her bed the whole time, but none of her family were ever in the show. So that was kind of interesting. We got to see Demidogs. Demidogs made a big comeback in this episode with the hospital fight scene. We got to see Mike's mother wake up out of the hospital, and she put a air cylinder tank in the dryer and blew up some Demidogs. So that was cool. And then we got Chapter 7, The Bridge. On the anniversary of Will's disappearance, the party reunites and prepares for battle with world-altering implications. So I like this episode 7. This was like the Will coming out episode to everyone in Hawkins, essentially. Even though there were some people I felt like didn't need to be there, like some of the school teachers, and then some of the other adults that necessarily didn't need to hear this conversation. It could have been just a conversation between Mike, Dustin, Will, the kids, right? But it was cool they included everyone in it. And of course this was the penultimate episode right before the finale, which was really cool. So a couple of things, the series finale I want to leave a note on. Chapter 8, The Right Side Up. So I like the title, and I like the premise of the story. They all have to gather in this other dimension, which turns out to just be like a sandy, desolate wasteland. And of course they come across the castle, the inverted castle, which turns out to be a living creature. It's like a spider, which that's pretty fun. But I do hear a lot of things on the internet about people complaining about the Duffer Brothers, that they didn't have enough demogorgons or creatures in this other dimension. And the Duffer Brothers have come out and said, well, their explanation is Vecna never expected them to fight him on his turf. So they're there somewhere, but just not on screen. And that felt like a really weak explanation for fans. But our heroes prepare to fight Vecna as he plans to end the world as we know it. Meanwhile, in Vecna's mind, the kids are racing to escape. So really good scenes with Holly in there. Holly was a big standout of the show. She kind of took over for the original cast because she, of course, was trying to help these kids. I feel like a lot of the younger kids could be potentially in some of these spin-offs as well. And we got to see a final closeout for all the characters. You know, they got a little bit older. We got an 18-month jump into the future. I don't really care for what they did with Elle. Going into that, they separated her from the rest of the group because, of course, Dr. K and her experiments. It seems like with what they did, closing the Upside Down and Dimension X portals, there's no more experiments going on. So Dr. K is essentially gone. She didn't die, but she's gone from Hawkins. And Mike was telling the story of how hopefully Elle found a peaceful land to live out her life. I think they will return, do another revival. It just might be a little bit of time before they do that. But yeah, I liked the finale. I thought it was good. Strong Netflix finale, should I say, as far as Netflix things go. Interesting to see that this had a theatrical debut. It made about $25 million in the theaters, so that's really cool. And that was money direct to the theaters because they paid for a commission ticket instead of an actual purchase ticket, so they just spent like $25 on food. And that food commissions go straight back to the theater instead of having to pay out to Netflix or third party. So that's really cool. Going into some notes real quick, because I have a little bit of notes to discuss. I talked about how Sebastian Stan has been cast as Harvey Dent for Batman Part 2. I do want to go into Gilda Dent. Supposedly is going to be Scarlett Johansson. This is all rumor right now, but really interesting stuff. Tom Cruise is set to direct a lightsaber fight sequence in Star Wars Starfighter, which is really interesting to hear. Apparently they brought him on set. They had the Mission Impossible music playing for him, and then they even offered him to get in the mud, get in the water, and start shooting sequences, directing himself, and he said, why not? So that was really cool. David Grusch recently came back in the news, guys. This is a UAP whistleblower. He recently was talking smack about Dan Farah and his documentary Age of Disclosure, because apparently General Clapper and others have been read in on the total situation, but in the documentary they claim they were not read in. They did not know prior knowledge, where Grusch is saying they were read in. They were actually the heads of the program. So very interesting stuff here. Jackass 5 has been greenlit, guys. This is coming officially from Johnny Knoxville's Instagram page. I'm super excited for one last hurrah. Can't wait to see everyone. Summer, June 26th for the last hurrah, Jackass 5. So really cool stuff there. I'm a big fan of Johnny Knoxville. He is currently on Fear Factor this year. So very interesting stuff there if you guys are checking that out. Paramount is investing a lot of money in comedies, original comedies, which is something we've been desperate for. We got the success of Naked Gun last year with Liam Neeson, and apparently they were very impressed with that, so they are moving forward with more comedies. Batman Part 2 story is set to focus on the Dents and have a pretty strong cast, matching an equal story. So, strong cast, very strong written script for the story. Tangled live action has casted its official cast. I'm not exactly sure who the kids are. I have to look those up. But we heard that Mother Gothel is played by Catherine Hahn from Agatha All Along. So really cool update there on Tangled. The Housemaid has confirmed to be getting a second movie due to the book. There are multiple books, so they're adapting those. Netflix denies Paramount's fourth offer on buying Warner Brothers. So far they have not gotten in with the winning streak over there. Netflix still is top dog for consuming the IP of Warner Brothers. Greenland 2 Migration hit theaters, so that's pretty cool. Gerard Butler. The Blade solo movie. Now this is big breaking news, guys. Just reported on last few days. Blade with Mahershala Ali is officially not happening. Unfortunately, it's been too long since its announcement at the 2019 Comic-Con, and they were not able to get a script finalized or a director, so they are moving on. It was an untitled Marvel movie that has now officially been scrapped from their release schedule. They are potentially saying, though, Mahershala Ali's Blade could appear in a team-up film, such as Midnightsons, which is very interesting because they released a video game about Midnightsons. I don't know how many people played it, but there's also a comic book cover, which is about the supernatural team in Marvel, which hunts down supernatural threats. They are sometimes led by Doctor Strange. Wolverine is sometimes part of it. Blade. Trying to think of other supernatural characters. Moon Knight is sometimes part of it. Captain America has been known to join. Other people as well. Thor would definitely be part of Midnightsons. But he is an Avenger, so I'm not sure. Maybe they're trying to stick to TV characters. But interesting. And yeah, they're talking about a Midnightsons potential movie in the works. So that means they need to get Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night, potentially others. J.J. Abrams is working on a new movie which stars a young couple trying to survive a supernatural encounter. So this sounds very interesting. It's called Ghost Rider, which is W-R-I-T-E-R instead of Rider. Ghost Rider stars Jenna Ortega, Glenn Powell, Samuel Jackson, and Emma McKay. So we're not sure exactly what the story is, besides a young couple recently married encounters a supernatural entity and tries to basically ruin their relationship or their marriage, and they have to fight it. So very interesting. I know a lot of people are on the fence about J.J. Abrams after he worked on both Star Trek and Star Wars franchises. I'm still a big fan. I hope that he can come out and do some more work. It's been a year or so since he's released anything. Blackmirror has been renewed on Netflix for season 8, which is really awesome. They usually don't renew these shows this much on Netflix. I mean, we were lucky to get a season 5 from Stranger Things, and that's 10 years. 10 years. From 2016 to 2025. So a decade. Primate is fresh on the Rotten Tomatoes score. It's got an 84% on there, and that's a Paramount movie. In theaters right now, Primate, about a killer monkey living with social media stars. We don't know why this is happening, but it is in theaters. Are you going to check it out? Let me know down below. Let's see. Doomsday plane spotted at LAX and fuels national security concerns. So, yeah, Doomsday plane was recently spotted. This is, of course, the plane that the President of the United States gets on in case of a nuclear attack. And given the current climate in the world, that is very fascinating to see. James Fox plans on holding a press club meeting in Washington, D.C. to discuss the Virginia case about a craft crashing in South America. Apparently the government was called to come and retrieve the craft. There was an entity, a biological being, recovered who was transferred to a hospital there in Virginia, where doctors spent several days with it, actually. apparently talking to it telepathically. And then Green Berets were sent in to gather the evidence and take away this entity. The doctors are coming forward now after 20 plus years of hiding and secrecy. They're coming forward to tell their tale in our nation's capital. So that's very interesting. Good work for James Fox, movie documenteur. U.S. officials say they took all the material from South America. National Press Club is going to ask the question, where did it go? Right? Who is storing it? Where was it tested? A lot of it we think are going to military bases, installations. Also, the people of Iran recently are having protests for government reforms. They're tired of their strict government. There's thousands of young people protesting and doing a march across each of their 30 provinces. And they're talking about high cost of food. Their currency has gone bust, so their economy is unfortunately tanking. And due to the U.S. involvement in taking out the Fordo nuclear installment, we have shown the Iranian people their government is not so easily sustainable. It is quite fragile, actually. And now the people of Iran are now going out and protesting the Ayatollah. They're protesting the strict restrictions. Apparently the U.S. has gotten involved. President Trump has claimed if things get deadly, if things start turning bad, the U.S. will get involved. I don't know exactly how we can, commandeer and judge another country for how they treat their people, but seems like we're doing that with Venezuela already, taking over their oil plants. So that's very interesting. President Trump just had a 40-minute live stream with oil execs talking about they'll be protected and that the business will continue as regularly scheduled. Real quick before I go on, I have been reading a Spider-Man comic, which I'll go in back to basics real quick. And I'm liking it a lot, trying to get through some comic books this year. We do have just 6 months before Brand New Day is out in theaters, so I wanted to check this out real quick. Show you guys a little bit of the cover art with like all the villains. I think this is very much going to be like what the movie is about. Maybe not necessarily Rhino is going to be in it because we just had Rhino in Kraven, but a lot of other villains in Spider-Man. We're going to see how Peter gets used to living on his own. In this comic book, he's living with a roommate who is the son of the head of the Daily Bugle. So, J. Jonah Jameson, yeah, it's his son who he's rooming with. We get to see a bit of the villains. Boomerang, specifically leading group a Lady Electro, which is interesting to see. They changed the sexes for Electro, which they've done that in the comics before. We get to see this really interesting wheel device that one of the villains is driving. It has arms, wheels and arms. And Spider-Man, of course, tries to prevent them from crashing into a fancy restaurant. And then we get to see the introduction of Kingpin, which is very interesting because he shows up several times in the comics. Kingpin. And of course he's Mayor Kingpin now. And they reference Doom, other things. They talk about how they need a third roommate to afford the rent, and that their new roommate is, of course, Boomerang. So that's very interesting. Animosity towards villains and heroes living under the same roof. I like that. That's very interesting. Some more art. One of these is the art cover for the comic. The other one is just extra, but very cool. Pretty much everybody in the comic book in there. We get to see a little bit of the relationship between Peter and MJ. And this is, of course, when he has the black suit symbiote. So different times throughout And then, of course, we see that was just a dream of his with MJ holding her up there above tower. They're having some roommate trouble with Boomerang because he likes to stay up late doing gaming. So we can see a little bit of arguing between them there. And then a big old invasion. I love these montages where they have like a giant battle sequence. These are big bugs coming down. You see Old Man Logan, Wolverine, Gambit, Black Panther, The Thing, Iron Man, Captain America, Jean Grey, Daredevil, Thor. So a big team taking on these bugs. Even the Vision's there. So that's really cool. She-Hulk, smashing bugs. So this could be a really cool sequence for Doomsday if they wanted to. All the heroes gathered in one place. It could be New York or wherever. We even get to see, what's his name? Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, and Luke Cage. And I guess they sigh when Spider-Man shows up. Which I don't know why other heroes would be, dissing on Spider-Man. And then, of course, we see Spider-Man was sent to a building where they had a secret surprise party for him, set up by Kingpin. Spider-Man is intrigued by it, but then when they offer him the big key to the city, he says no. It would look ridiculous on his keychain, so he refuses to carry the big key to the city, even though he says, think of all the doors it could open for me. We see, of course, Daredevil and Human Torch battling these monsters. And then we go into an interesting part in the comics where we get to see a glimpse into Peter's work life at the Daily Bugle. They've got a new sort of AI system, I guess, that fact-checks your work and finds out where it came from, anywhere in the cosmos. They scan some of Peter Parker's work with this device, and they come out with it fraudulent. They actually say that Dr. Otto Octavius, when he was possessing Peter Parker's body, completed college, got his degree, and the paper that Peter Parker used was actually written by Dr. Otto Octavius. So they're kind of clowning Peter at work right now. They demoted him from being a head journalist. They took away his fancy massage chair. Aunt May even heard about the news, and she was kind of disappointed by him. But it's sort of one of those interesting situations that Peter can't tell people that Dr. Otto Octavius took over my body and finished school for me, because that would reveal his secret identity. Get to see him thinking about Aunt May while battling the creatures, him thinking about all the people he's hurt. Not quite his boss, because his boss got his fancy massage chair. But we see Spider-Man willing to risk it all because he senses the bugs are coming from a central portal. And so he's going to launch himself towards that portal, not caring, as long as his loved ones are safe and okay, he can do it. He won't mind if that's the end of his story. But then, of course, he finds out it was all a plot. It was an illusion, if you will, by Mysterio. So, of course, Spider-Man wrangles up Mysterio and has to put him down, and he's, like, embarrassed. It's like, oh, one of my villains is responsible for this? So, going on, we get to see him rejoining MJ and, her basically telling her, oh, you're my most important one. This is pretty much where I'm at in the comics right now, where Mysterio is defending himself in court, which is ridiculous. But we also get to see some more carnage going down with the battle. And it turns out the heroes were actually fighting themselves. The bugs weren't real. They were illusions. And that was very interesting. But that's almost halfway. It's like one third of about the way through the comics. And this is back to basics. I want to say, let me see if it has a year. 2018. So this came out 2018, Back to Basics. And they do reference in the comic, it says Amazing Spider-Man, which it is, Amazing Spider-Man. But they call it A Brand New Day in the comic, which is the title of the movie, Brand New Day. So I figured I'd start reading it, check it out. Let's see. Oh, I got a little bit of movie news left, guys. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've made it to 86 subscribers on YouTube. I'm also on TikTok, Threads, Facebook, multiple platforms. You guys can come and follow me there as well. So real quick before I go, Avengers Doomsday is probably going to come out sooner than the December 20th release date. People are speculating due to the story leaks. I don't know if this is accurate or not. It would be cool if it does come out quicker than December 20th. But there are a lot of MCU projects coming before Doomsday as well. IMAX has made a killing of $3.8 million, up 14% from 2023. So despite the IMAX, there's not many IMAX screens in the country, but they're making a killing in the movie theaters. Also, the Sphere in Vegas, I think, is making a lot of money off of people going to it. Biggest renew due to screens being added. So a lot more big Dolby Atmos screens have been added in 2025. More coming in 2026. Ahsoka actor who played Ezra Bridger in the live-action Ahsoka is apparently playing MJ's boyfriend in Spider-Man Brand New Day, which sounds pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to this very much. Apparently he's going to play Harry Osborn, which we all know who that is. Longtime rival friend of Peter, and eventually the Hobgoblin. So, very interesting. We might even get to see the introduction of Oscorp. We're not sure yet, but it'd be very cool to see other villains introduced, because they said Sony has this deal now where they're letting Marvel use their roster of slate. So before, Sony was very strict about what characters Spider-Man could be with. Now the floodgates are going to be open. Apparently they want Alan Richardson from Reacher to play our next Venom. And I was like, this is kind of early, because we just had Venom Last Dance with Tom Hardy, and I really liked that film. But apparently they're already talking about getting a new Venom, because they need one, and other villains for Spider-Man. So this is really cool news. What do you guys think of all the breaking news? Be sure to like, follow the channel. It helps me very much. Until next time, guys, this is me signing off. Have a good one, stay safe, and I'll catch you in another one of my videos. Bye-bye.